Shalom, family. Good to see you here. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about one of our fine sisters that actually lived through the Tulsa Massacre and lived to tell her story. So, they love saying, when it came down to slavery, that nobody here was a slave. Well, that's not how reparations work. Reparations are for the survivors. It's not for the dead idiot. And they know this. They know this, y'all. You know, they just think they can clown us out like we're stupid. Well, here you had a case at one point in time, her brother was still living. So it was three survivors. He passed, and she passed at 111 years old. That is absolutely amazing. You can't even imagine the things this woman saw in her lifetime. Her family had their own store in Tulsa. And of course, after everything happened, she was a maid. So she never really had much, as far as income for the rest of her life. So we're going to talk about her. And I was looking at pictures of her even when she was younger. So she's had a long life there in Tulsa. And her entire family was with her. And I got one person on the video actually is friends with one of her grandchildren, and he speaks about her. So they called her Mother Fletcher. That's what the people around her used to call her. And she was the oldest of all of the survivors. When did this happen? It happened when she was 7 years old. So that was, what, 104 years ago. She was 7 years old, and she witnessed the violence and what happened in Greenwood, where she used to live with her family. So she was a child in 1921, and the area she lived in was considered affluent. In Oklahoma, it was torched by white citizens in what became known as the Tulsa Race Riot, one of the most violent acts of violence in American history. And she testified in Congress, how she was terrified in hopes of, eh, getting reparations for herself and her family. She died on Monday, so she died yesterday. She she died, y'all, in the hospital, according to a close family friend. So she's just one surviving witness in the massacre. Leslie Randall, who is also 111, 6 months younger than Fletcher. So, so Leslie is the only one left, and she's 111. But see, that's what they want, y'all. They want them to just all pass away so they can finally put this behind them, something that was caused by their people and this government. So the Greenwood neighborhood at that time, when she was 7 years old, it was home to about 10,000 people in the early part of the 20th century, and it became known as Black Wall Street for all of the successful entrepreneurs and its residents and the prosperity of many families that lived there. The neighborhood was destroyed in a massacre, and they reported 300, people got unalived, but, the people that were there said it was way higher than that, and I do believe them. So it left a lot homeless. Some of them were taken to almost like a detention camp, where they kept them. So she grew up in a working class resident of Greenwood. Her stepfather was Henry Ellis, held several jobs at once, from breaking in horses to selling clothes. Viola went to school in Greenwood and attended Wednesday night and Sunday services at a Baptist church. She remembered watching Greenwood men gather to make homemade ice cream on special occasions while women prepared pies and layered cakes. So she remembered a lot. And when you listen to her speak, you can tell she didn't lose her faculties. You can tell she was still all there. Definitely. So I have some footage of her speaking and doing a testimony, and I'm going to let you listen to her. And like I said, when you listen to this powerful young 111-year-old woman, you can tell she's been through a lot. You can't even imagine what you would see in that amount of time, but she's seen a lot. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen so you can hear her yourself. Okay, y'all, please give me a one if you can see my screen. Oh, yeah, the Most High will get everybody and their descendants that were involved, because these folks, they think they don't have to pay for their father's sin. And that Supreme Court in Oklahoma that denied them. Oh, yeah, y'all are all under judgment, every last one of you. All right, let's get started.
My name is Viola Fletcher. I'm the daughter of Lucinda Ellis and John Wesley Ford of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm the sister of Hughes Van Ellis, who's also here today. I'm a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday. Today, I'm visiting Washington, D.C. for the first time in my life. I'm here seeking justice, and I'm asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921. On May 31st in 21, I went to bed in my family's home in Greenwood, neighbors of Tulsa. The neighborhood I felt asleep in that night was rich, not just in terms of wealth, but in culture, community, heritage, and my family had a beautiful home. We had great neighbors, and I had friends to play with. I felt safe. I had everything a child could need. I had a bright future ahead of me. Greenwood could, excuse me, yeah. Still, Greenwood should have given me the chance to truly make it in this country. Within a few hours, all of that was gone. The night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot. I will not. And other survivors do not. And our descendants do not. When my family was forced to leave Tulsa, I lost my chance of an education, I never finished school past the fourth grade. I have never made much money in my country. State and city took a lot from me. Despite this, I spent time supporting the war effort in the shipyards of California. But most of my life, I was a domestic worker serving white families. I never made much money, but to this day, I can barely afford my everyday needs.
Many of us are aware of the Tulsa Race Massacre and Black Wall Street, and many of us believe that it ended right after the massacre. Well, not quite. So after the race massacre, two things happened. One, Tulsa stated that they would help rebuild. Then they turned around and said, nah, every building on Black Wall Street has to be 2 stories high and they have to be fireproof. The other thing that happened was insurance companies wouldn't give no payouts. And so within the next year, however, 800 structures would be rebuilt, 80 businesses. And within that next year, Black Wall Street would be complete. And so over the years, over 250 businesses would come back to Black Wall Street. But long story short, what really killed Black Wall Street eventually is gentrification. The story of Black Wall Street is why we should have two educations: that which was given to us, the other which we give ourselves.
Mother Fletcher carried 111 years of truth, resilience, and grace, and was a reminder of how far we've come and how far we still must go. She never stopped advocating for justice for the survivors and the scenes of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. So I know this is your first time hearing this.
Viola Fletcher, the oldest known living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, has died. Better known as Mother Fletcher, she was one of only 2 remaining survivors of the massacre. She was just 7 years old when her neighborhood, what many remember as the sprawling Black Wall Street, was destroyed. Fletcher was a lifelong advocate for justice for Tulsa Massacre survivors. She was 111 years old.
I'm asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921.
The oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre has died at 111 years old, Viola Fletcher. Now, her grandson told me that when she passed, she had a beautiful smile on her face and that she loved life and people. The Tulsa Race Massacre was when a white mob destroyed Tulsa's Greenwood neighborhood, a thriving Black-owned business district at the time. Thousands of Black residents were arrested, robbed, beaten, and killed. I actually sat with Fletcher a few times over the years as she and other living survivors pursued a lawsuit against the city of Tulsa and other related departments, alleging they were complicit in the 1921 massacre and that its effects were still being felt today.
I think we should get justice to be fair. I think the court should feel the same way.
In June of 2024, the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed that lawsuit, which argued the remaining survivors should be compensated by the city for damages. This is history, though, that is quickly disappearing, but now lives on in her memory. Here's some of what she told me over the years about what she remembers from that day in 1921.
People getting killed and houses, property, schools, churches, and stores getting destroyed with fire, and then someone in the neighborhood saying to leave the neighborhood, if not, we're going to kill all of the Black people. It just stays with me, you know. It's just the fear that I have lived in Tulsa since, but I don't sleep all night living there.
I just got word from the family of Tulsa Race Massacre survivor Mother Viola Fletcher that she has passed away today at 111 years old. Heard from Ike, her grandson, today that over the last 5 days, she was being diagnosed with congestive heart failure and that 4 Tulsa pastors had come by to pray over her over these last few days. And today we did find out that unfortunately she has passed on to her heavenly home. As a journalist who's been covering her story for the past 4 or 5 years, it's surreal because just a few weeks ago. She was sending us videos of her being grateful for all the people who've been donating to her campaign to get her own home, and seeing her so full of life through this documentary that we've been working on over the last several months. I really thought that she had at least 5 more years. She seems so strong and so wise at that age, even. And I can't believe that it's happened. But I did just wanted to let y'all know, for those of y'all who might have heard, it is confirmed that she has passed away today at 111 years old.
What do you remember about the time?
People getting killed and houses, property, schools, churches, and stores getting destroyed with fire, and then someone in the neighborhood saying to leave the neighborhood, if not, we're going to kill all of the Black people. It just stays with me, you know. It's just the fear that I have lived in Tulsa since, but I don't sleep all night living there.
109-year-old Mother Fletcher, as she's known, is one of only 2 people alive who remember firsthand what the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre was like, sitting with us alongside her grandson and niece. How do you think your life would have been different if this had not happened?
I would have got an education to where I could get a better job, like especially being a nurse.
Throughout the interview, his grandmother's hearing wasn't always perfect.
He said, even after everything happened,
He often had to check that she could hear my questions. But as we wrapped up, all right, you look great, you sound great.
Well, good.
Oh, you heard that. That was
Viola Fletcher, the oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, has died. Fletcher was just 7 years old when a white mob destroyed the Greenwood district of Tulsa, once known as Black Wall Street, killing hundreds, burning businesses, schools, and churches, and leaving as many as 10,000 people homeless. Fletcher carried those memories for more than a century. In her later years, she became a national witness to history, speaking with students and journalists and testifying before Congress.
I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see Black men being shot. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot.
Fletcher was one of 2 survivors who sued the state of Oklahoma seeking damages from the city. Last year, the state's Supreme Court rejected their case, dealing a serious setback to a decades-long fight for reparations. Fletcher's grandson, in confirming her passing, said she had a beautiful smile on her face. She loved life. She loved people. Viola Fletcher was 111 years old.
No.
Just lost. Mother Viola Fletcher, the oldest survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, has died at 111 years old. Wow. She testified before Congress at 107 years old in 2021 about the massacre that destroyed her community when she was 7 years old. She spent her life speaking out against violence and advocating for reparations for survivors and their families. Rest in power.
111. 111.
Yeah, there's only one more survivor, and she's also 111, but she is 6 months younger than Mother Fletcher.
Right. So, y'all, her beautiful life is gone, but definitely not forgotten. We will always remember this woman. She is definitely the one, along with others, that brought this story to light. If you can imagine, if she was lost on that day, we might not have ever heard about Greenwood. You know, the survivors were they were the one that brought it to the forefront, you know, because this country tried very hard to bury Black Wall Street and what they did. And you know, I'm just grateful that we know about these things. We just like we know about how successful the towns were that white mobs would raid, because these folks have gone above and beyond to continue to make us feel like we are not capable, and which is bullshit. I never met any of our people and they felt like they weren't capable. We know we are. They know we are. You wouldn't have to keep destroying people and sabotaging them if they were incapable. You wouldn't have to worry about them. But the fact that they worry about us all the time and we're always on their mind, no, we're not stupid people, far from it. We're not at the bottom because we're stupid. We're at the bottom because we have been heavily sabotaged by other groups and this government. So it's crazy, y'all. It's a lot of crazy things going on out here. Um, I did the story on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do you know there's other GOP in Congress that's ready to step down just like her? They're ready to go. So we'll see how many more will leave, but they said there are several that are ready to do the same thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene did in the Republican Party. So, there are people that are saying MAGA is dead. MAGA is dead. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. So, y'all, I want to thank James Mitchell for your super sticker. I deeply appreciate it. Janet Johnson, thank you so much for your super chat. Change is going to come. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And thank you for your support for my channel, The Crawford Experience. Thank you for the 12-month membership. Reparations, reparations, reparations. Rest in power, Mother Fletcher. Amen. Thank you for your support for my channel. So, y'all, be on the lookout. I don't know how true this is, but there's rumors going around that Donald Trump may be letting Cash Patel go. So I'm just waiting because right now it's just people chattering about it, but that's what they're saying. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to sit on this one for a while to see if I get some concrete information about it. Then I'll do that story. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here. And we'll definitely do this again tomorrow. This is going to be my last live because I got quite a few orders and I need to get to those so they can go out the door tomorrow. And I just want everybody to know I'm going to be posting the sale that's coming up on Etsy and Shopify. And I want be patient because this time of the year, mail runs slower. So you may normally get something from me in about 3-4 days. It may take 7 days to reach you. Usually the mail is a lot heavier and the work is a lot more for all of the courier services. So you will get your orders. They will still go out the next day, but just know it may take a little longer. Usually November, December, mail is slow. All right. Because I know some people get impatient and they still think orders are going to make it there to them in 3 days. And it's not going to, it's not going to always work out that way. So I just wanted to say that. And y'all have a wonderful night. Shalom, family.